You're in for a big treat today. We're putting on a big pot of stewed beans, a traditional food that goes back, well, many, many generations. But Newfoundland is just not only known for its food, we're also known for the weather. When we're talking about Newfoundland, we also have to talk about the weather. Wintertime, very harsh, very cold, very long winters. Lots of snow, lots of storms, high winds, cold temperatures. And this is something that we're used to growing up, so we don't notice it as much as people on the outside when they come to visit or even when they move here for the very first time. Now, back in the day, a lot of foods weren't easy to come by, especially being an island and being isolated from the mainland. And most of the towns around Newfoundland were made up of small communities of 100, 120, 130, even 200 people. And traveling to bigger centers, well, sometimes that was very difficult in the winter. And most times you just add a shop or a convenience store to get your goods. So a lot of times you would stock up. And when you're talking about salt beef and white beans, these were foods that can basically last most of the winter. Especially the white beans being packaged, they were good for a very long time. So having salt beef and beans and adding a few vegetables, you had a meal. And it was a meal that was very hearty, very healthy, and very filling. If you've ever made stewed beans or even the traditional baked beans, or even got a recipe from someone, the first thing they'll tell you is to soak your beans overnight. Now this is a step that Mom have always skipped. She have never soaked her beans. And her mother, my grandmother, never did either. But that is the traditional way, is to soak the beans. So we're going with 2 packs of beans. Mom don't soak them, Mom always boil them. Now, some people would say it's impossible to get them soft. Well, you have to boil them. Now, some people I know have actually made baked beans, never boiled them, I think they might have soaked them, but they put them right in the pot and they were as hard as rock. You have to boil your beans. So Mom just takes the extra time, boils them for a little bit longer, and they always turns out absolutely perfect. So we already got the turnip cut up into very small pieces. Mom adds turnip to her stewed beans. This stewed beans isn't normal. It's not a water base. It's like a thick paste.
Oh, yeah, that's like the answer.
Yeah, very delicious. With you having doughboys?
Wow. I was going to say, duh. Now, your father would take the beans and throw it out. If I never had, I've always had doughboys around.
Yeah.
Grandkids loves. No money in. I'd say they'd rather stewed beans than doing steak and beans.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So how small do you want the onion? In small pieces, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said to me, I love baked beans, stewed beans, and then I'd rather have that many.
Yeah, Mom.
I know it comes out in March, and I'm going to do stewed beans one. And I done it for you, and it's on sweat for Christmas morning, huh?
Yeah.
Baked beans, but I still going to do baked beans and stewed beans one day. See, that's all they're used to. Is the way I make them.
Yeah.
That's all they know.
Yeah. And everyone that have tried Mom's baked beans have always wanted the recipe to them.
Baked beans?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they used to come in. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 large onion chopped into very small pieces, going right into the pot. We love making extra food when we're cooking. So today we're going to be using 2 packs of white beans along with about 3 pounds of salt beef. The salt beef, we're going to cut it up into very small cubes, and we're also going to dice up an onion. A full large onion diced up. We're going to add it to the pot, and we're going to boil this for about an hour and a half. That should do everything perfectly along with the times of the other veggies. So another ingredient is going to be turnip. And I know a lot of people are going to say that's not turnip, that's rutabaga. I don't really care what we call it, but here in Newfoundland, we're going to call it a turnip. And a lot of people get upset over that. I don't know why people would get upset over a word or over a name. It's what we call it in Newfoundland, and we're going to continue calling it. And it's not wrong, it's not right, it's what we call it. And different locations, different areas, different cultures, different places got names for different foods, different items, different things. And it's not a bad thing. Why should people be upset because we call it a turnip? It's what we call it. We're going to continue to call it a turnip. And I understand why a lot of people don't like turnip. Turnip to me is not like a potato. I've never heard anyone say, oh, where we grow potatoes, oh, they're not good to eat. They're horrible. I've never heard that, but I hear that a lot with turnips or rutabaga. They're very, we call it corky. That's what we call it. Very hard, very not really edible when you come down to it. And once in a while, we'll get one like that. But turnip or rutabaga should be sweet and soft and delicious. Now, when you're cutting it up, it's not soft, but after you boil it, it should be soft. It shouldn't remain hard. And it should be sweet. And when you get a turnip like that, it is absolutely delicious. So this is why in Newfoundland, we use turnip just as much as we use potato. So we're going to dice this up into small cubes. And after an hour and a half of the beans and the salt pork and onion boiling, we're going to add the turnip. Then after 15 minutes, we're going to add the potato. Turnip is a little more dense, a little harder. It takes a little longer to cook, same as your carrot.
You better keep the peel.
Keep the peel for father.
If not, you're going to be in trouble.
Then we're going to add the potato. Potato's going to be cubed up as well. I know a lot of people are going to say you shouldn't add potato to stewed beans. Too starchy, especially when you're going to eat it the next day, left over. Oh, too much starch. But we also add it to our vegetable soup. A lot of people don't, but you don't know what you're missing. It's delicious. And we're going to be adding it to our stewed beans. All this together, all these flavors and textures are absolutely delicious. So one of the biggest treats to having stewed beans is actually having dough buys. Now, dough buys is something that's been around for centuries. They say the European settlers brought it over when they settled there. Who knows? I definitely know it's been around for a very, very long time. And I know dumplings, especially these type of dumplings or dough buys, can be found throughout the United States. And certain parts of the states also call it dough buy. So it'll be very interesting if we could link that together with your culture. If you live in the States or even different parts of Canada, if you're not from Newfoundland, definitely fill me in on that. And if you're from another part of the world, I definitely want to hear about your dumplings. Do you call them dough buys? So how do we make our beautiful dumplings? Because there is a right and wrong way. And not everyone can get those dumplings, those dough buys, to turn out right. And I want to know, do you make it the same way we make it with, your flour, your water, your baking powders, your butter, and of course we add a little bit of sugar. We always do, but remember, this is for the entire dish. This is not per serving. If you see us put in 2 or 3 spoonfuls of sugar, you're thinking you're eating that much sugar. It's for the entire dish. It's not per serving. Now, some people, when they make their dough buys, now the dough, we'll talk about the dough. The dough has to be sticky. It's not like bread dough where you're taking that stickiness out of it. You want this to be very sticky, and you can see in the video how sticky this dough is, and that's the way you want it. Now, some people will take it out and make little snowballs. They'll roll it up in their hands and everything is sticking. Mother don't. Mother don't touch it. She takes a spoon and she'll keep twisting it until she gets a nice sized ball on the spoon and right into the pot, and it turns out perfect every time. I've never known Mom to have bad dough buys. Absolutely perfect every single time. Another key to the perfect dough buy is you add it to the top of your stew, you cover it, and you cook it for 10 minutes. Not on rapid boil. You want to remove it from the heat and just get it simmering, and you want it there for about 10 minutes. A little bit of a boil, but you don't want rapid boil. You want to bring that temperature down, but you definitely still want it to boil a little. And you'll get the perfect dough bye. Now, they're all different shapes and sizes. After 10 minutes, have a good look at them. Start to turn them over, see how they feel. Sometimes you might need an extra 2 to 3 minutes. You might not. If they're small, they're definitely done. If they're bigger, yeah, just add another 2 or 3 minutes to it. Cover it, leave it. Don't touch it. Leave it. You can never go wrong with a big pot of stewed beans and dough buys. Look how amazing this turned out. Remember when we put the dough buys in the pot? Just spoon them in. Look how much they rose. This is perfect. You don't want your dough buys too dense. You might have to add more baking powders. It is something definitely you got to experiment with. You got to keep trying it until you get the right texture. Anybody can make these dough buys, but if they're too dense, add more baking powders. You got to have that sticky consistency. You don't need it perfect. Just spoon it, put it in the pot, leave it, don't keep turning it, and they'll turn out just like these. That's amazing. Beautiful. Stewed beans, pea soup, that is 2 meals you definitely got to have dough buys. Now we're going to be sharing this with a few close friends and also some family members. Now when we give out food, it's more than just food. We give it to friends that we consider family. So it's more than just anybody. It's people that we're very close with, and we love sharing our meals, our food with them. Because why not? It's only a few extra ingredients, and we always have plenty left over for the next day and the day after. And this is something definitely you want in the winter. Very hearty, very healthy, high in protein. Why not? Share a plate of stewed beans. Gotta love it. Look, the dumpling is perfect. That's a big dumpling. But you take a piece of the dumpling and a piece of the stewed beans, all the veggies, salt beef. You can't go wrong on a cold winter's day. Now it's my turn. I can't wait to sit down and enjoy this beautiful stewed beans. All the veggies, good protein, a very hearty, healthy meal. We love sharing with you our traditional meals, but what are some of your traditional meals where you live? Is this something that you would make or have made in the past? Or maybe your parents or your grandparents? Or is there another bean recipe? Something that you really enjoy or something that you haven't had in a long time that you love to be able to have again? Please share it with us in the comments. We want to know some of your traditional meals. We all couldn't get enough of this beautiful stewed beans. Even our friends, they loved it. And maybe they'll get another plate in a few months when we make it again for my 2 nephews, Mom and Dad's grandsons, because they love it as well. And if you really enjoyed this content, please leave a like, share, and leave a comment. And we'll see you in our next video.